Y'all ready? Board of County Commissioners now in session. We'll begin with a prayer, followed by the pledge. If you would, Commissioner Jones, lead us in prayer, please.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day that you've given us. We thank you, Lord, for this time that you've given us to do our best to make decisions that concern all the residents and citizens of Franklin County. Father, we ask today that upon our knowledge, Lord, that you would help us to apply wisdom and understanding, and most of all prudence, Father, for everything that concerns this people that live here. Thank you for giving us this time today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda will be the approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Massey, second by Commissioner Sanders. Any discussion of the minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Next will be payment of county bills.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lockley, second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion of the bills? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. Next will be Department Director's Report. Howard Neighbor, Superintendent of Public Works.
Morning, Commissioner. How y'all doing? Just got a couple items on the grass cut. We continue on cutting grass through the county, so. And forestry on the logging and stuff, they've been doing a very good job on keeping the road, keeping lime rock and stuff up, and keeping tearing the road up, so.
If you have any problems, just call me, because I got the man's number that's over the wood. And he said he'd be there, right, he got a grader and all.
Okay. We do it.
Any of the board members have anything for Mr. Howard this morning? Howard, you have anything else for the board?
No, sir, that's it.
Thank you for coming in this morning.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Next would be Mr. Fonda Davis, Solid Waste.
Good morning, Commissioner. Just a couple of things, just run by you. Solid waste, the recycling site down in Alligator Point, we got a lot of calls from the last meeting about it being put at the fire station. I know the board voted for me to move forward, we just hadn't really had time to get it down there, but hopefully this week we can get something done.
Do the commissioners have anything for Mr. Davis this morning?
But,
You got something else?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Recycling site on St. George Island. Hopefully, we'll have it moved also this week. And
That, Fonda, what'd you say?
the recycling site on St. George Island, relocating it. Yeah.
Anything else for the board?
Fonda, did you follow, I do, Mr. Chairman, did you follow through with those canopies over the, bleacher stands?
Waiting on a quote from BS&N Sport.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you found what I was talking about?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay.
While we're on Park and Rec, the playground equipment for East Point, but Roman Park has been ordered. We're waiting on it. It should be about mid-month before we receive it. Open it back up. Commissioner, you had mentioned last meeting about getting a quote on the porta potties for Carabel Beach with Talcon and Miles. And Miles is a little bit cheaper per month on it. That's back to the recycling. I mean, it's really costing us a lot to run recycling. We're getting a lot of household garbage. I mean, I hate to say it, that recycling really is not worth it. Total revenues, I could look back here, we, 39,000 is what we, 2015, 2016. And today, we are at about 15,000 right now. For all the concern we're getting about the household garbage dumped at the sites and all, I don't know if it's really worth even keep the recycling going.
Throughout the county you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
Nobody's participating in it?
Well, you take like St. George Island and some of the cardboard areas, the businesses with the cardboard, they're doing good. Alligator Point, trash. That's why it's closed. Appalachia, trash. Caryville, from time to time, is trash. A lot of household garbage is coming in.
Well, the other part, the value of recyclables itself has gone down, so what you're selling is worth less, right?
That's correct,
That's a national problem. I've been reading articles about that.
yes.
National problem.
Well, and I know that some of Fonda's concerned about placing something at Alligator Point. I'm not worried about putting it where it's, where we said we put it, the 4 lots. It's just that you got everything else with it, as you do everywhere else. You know, I mean, you've got it cut out at Lanark. Lanark don't even do it. They go up to St. James Bay, up there and dispose of their recyclables or either to Caryville. And I know that you don't want no conflict with the recycling area, and I understand that down at Alligator Point. But also, everybody has the mentality of not my backyard. The recycling containers, if they want them, it's gonna have to be in somebody's backyard. And what we were doing, and I, I thanked the chairman last meeting when he said that Fonda added security cameras to it. We can put it in there, we can try it. If it doesn't do, then we can always pull it out. But at least try it with security cameras on it, you know what I'm saying?
And it also has, as you're saying, Commissioner Sanders, in somebody's backyard, it has to be in a highly visible area.
It has
If you
to
put it out down some old back road somewhere, you're gonna get all these problems that we're talking about, because there's no vigilance, there's nobody looking, there's nobody passing that road. I mean, so if you put it out of sight, out of mind, you're gonna get more than what you asked for, a lot more than what you asked for. Because the low visibility, there's nobody riding by, and nobody can even see who's putting the stuff out unless we do put a camera on it. And then if you put a camera on it, the board has to understand that if he catches somebody throwing out garbage, then they're gonna have to be prosecuted. It can't be they're gonna call the commissioner and say, well, I'm sorry I did it, don't let them No, if you throw this garbage out there on the side of the road and he has to deal with it, somebody's gonna have to be wrote up for it, somebody's gonna have to be prosecuted for it. So the board needs to make up their mind that this is the stance of the board and this is the way it is. So when people call you, look, if you throw garbage out there and you got caught on the camera, then you just caught. I mean, or don't do it, one of the two. Don't put our department head in a position to where he can't do his job.
That's right. Fonda, what did
ma'am.
I tell you the other day? You tell him what I told you the other day. If you
Yes.
catch him, you catch him.
That's right.
Didn't I tell you that?
You did,
I said, follow the tone of the sheriff.
Yeah.
Did I not tell you that?
you did.
Enforce it.
We called them at the city of Caryville, got the names out of the garbage, we made them pick it up, and Gary dealt with them. They
You know,
didn't like
I
it,
mean,
but he
that's
dealt with
about
them.
what you have to do.
That's
and
what you
they
gotta do.
gotta pay the consequences if they throw that garbage out there around the recycling bin. We have a public comment. State your name for the record real quick.
Yeah, good morning, Commissioners. I'm Eddie Sosby. I'm with Alligator Point Property Owners and Alligator Point St. Teresa Association. Right quick on this recycling, I didn't realize there was so much community disapproval of that location across from the fire station, and we sent the notice of information out after the last meeting. I think Commissioner Sanders and Mr. Davis has been inundated with public comment.
I hadn't.
You haven't? Well,
No.
pardon me for.
I think I got
misspeaking.
3.
Okay. There is a lot of concern with it, and kind of following on to what Mr. Davis just spoke to, the economics of the situation is, I don't really think we're making any money. It's strictly, in my perception, just an opportunity for people to feel like they're doing something worthwhile in the recycling effort. So I would suggest and ask that the commission consider just not replacing this container at this site at this time, and then give us an opportunity to maybe explore the economics of it, see if we want to continue it out there. I'll be glad to put it on the agenda for our next meeting a week from Saturday, and try to provide you some sort of follow-up on what the association would recommend that you consider doing there.
Okay, when you have your meeting, would you take in consideration the comments made by the board?
Oh, I will, sir, yes.
Because if you put it in the back, if you want to put down some old back road somewhere way out yonder, it's not gonna work.
I
It
understand.
has to be where the community participates, the community helps us keep an eye on it.
That's right.
If you see a truck back there throwing out household garbage, get his tag number.
Yes.
So we can do something about it. Or if the community is not willing to do that, then we're fighting a losing battle.
Well,
I mean, we really
I'm
are.
willing to move ahead with it myself.
Commissioner Lockley has a comment.
Yeah, I wanna know, how long we gonna do this and we're losing money? I mean, if we gonna try it on the deadline, on the basis, but we losing. Let's see how long we gonna try it. Ain't no need of beating a dead horse.
I think it's important to some people in the community that they be able to recycle, thereby making our landfill last longer, so we don't have to dispose of this stuff. We don't have to pay the transfer people to transfer it out of the county. You know, it's a lot of things that goes into it without making a decision in haste. But the public, we're speaking today, we're on TV, we're speaking to the public that if we want to continue this effort and continue to move Franklin County ahead, I think we do need to try to recycle if we can. But if we're gonna end up with all these problems and we're not gonna make no money, and people just keep loading it up with household garbage, then we're gonna have to take steps, that will rectify the situation. And of course, Mr. Davis here, our solid waste director, is the one that will make the recommendation to this board. If he sees any changes, if he doesn't, then the board will have to make a determination of whether we're doing the right thing or not. I know a lot of people do like to recycle, as I stated before. I mean, you know, you want to take your plastic and your paper and your aluminum cans. Talking to Mr. Davis for a while now, he says people put aluminum cans in a recycling bin, and somebody comes by in the middle of the night and takes all the aluminum out and replaces it with household garbage. I mean, am I right, Mr. Davis? This is some of the things that he is seeing. Even though people think they're recycling, then you get people just come by and pick the stuff up that's worth anything, and then leave the county with the same hole filled up with household garbage. So these are just some of the issues that Mr. Davis has been talking to the commissioners about, and I don't know how he will react to your his public comment and the commissioner's comment here. Go ahead, Alan.
And I'm one of the ones who would recycle, and I certainly do appreciate what the chairman said, because there are other people in the community who think it's important, even if it's just a minor token effort. It's something we're trying to do the right thing by, you know, making our impact on landfill smaller. So I do appreciate that the board is continuing to try that. But is it an option to sort of reconfigure the recycling effort and have maybe smaller containers that are just glass and aluminum, maybe just a couple of things, and try? Sometimes if you have a big container, you are inviting more trouble because people say, oh, I can fill it up, no one's going to notice. But you have a smaller container, sometimes people are not as prone to try and shove garbage in a smaller container because it's too obvious what they're doing. And I don't know if that's a logic, you know, or just have smaller containers at certain areas for just maybe glass and, you know, whatever the two most common things are. I realize plastic is the biggest volume, but maybe just glass and aluminum. Maybe just try some modified thing that, I don't know if that.
I think what the problem finally is happening, though, is that you just ride by and throw out all the garbage on the side of the road, and then it turns into a big old mess.
Oh, is that what they're not shoving in there, just on the side of the road?
They just throw it there, well, this is a pickup site, and they just throw a doggone dump truck load of stuff out there within a week or half a week. When he comes back to get it, then he's got this mess he's got to deal with. Somebody's got to go get it up off the side of the road, and got to take it to landfill. It's all got to be separated if it's mixed in with your recyclable. And this is the issue that is happening if you don't get a workforce out of the prisons to help go through this stuff. And even if he does, the volume can be overwhelming.
If it's too small, they just dump it on the side of the road. So it actually makes it work.
If you move the dumpster, that's where it's going. If I'd have moved them from Carabel, the whole side of the road was cardboard and plastic. Because they're gonna put it somewhere.
Yeah, this is just some of the today's rates that we're getting for your mixed paper, like office papers and all that. We get $90 a ton. We don't have the space, the storage to keep that stuff dry, that material dry. So we have to send it out on a mixed load, and what we get a mixed load is $30 a ton for mixed paper. 10 cans have to go with the mixed load. You only get $40 a ton. Newspaper, you only get $35 a ton mixed load. You have to keep it dry. We just don't have the facility to keep all this stuff dry. And then your plastic is paying $50 a ton. Glass is nothing. We used to haul it to Jacksonville. We was paying locally Jason White to haul it for us. We was paying him $900 a load. They closed down now. Atlanta is the closest place, and they won't even return our call. So that's gonna have to go to the landfill, glass. So cardboard is about the only thing that's worth something right now. It's paying $173 a ton, and it fluctuates. Depends on the season. I have seen it drop as low as $65 a ton.
And it has to be kept dry.
Well, we get so much of it, they just subtract water weight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, before we move ahead on this, Fonda, let's look into this real the economic standpoint of it and to see if it is worth it. Break it down, line item stuff,
Okay.
to where what we spend out recycling this stuff, and then what we get back. And then we can base it on that, whether we keep it going or not, then, you know. And, you know, I will defer to Fonda to hold off until the APTA meeting. I can't sit here and let an association or organization determine how I vote on something. I have to, you know, I've always tried to be mindful about the people and how that does. But if we've got a problem here that we need to rectify, I can't, because the reason why I'm saying this is Fonda had a site picked out with Paul Parker down there, and somebody didn't like it, and so they held off on that. We would have had a recycling bin in a lot sooner than what we have had. But I just want I want people to understand at Alligator Point that the only reason why I'm slowing down on this, and that's Alligator Point now, Mr. Eddie, is because Fonda is looking at the feasibility of keeping this going.
Understand.
But whether we have it or not is not gonna be dependent on whether Alligator Point votes for it or not. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am, I understand completely. I understand your position and respect it.
That's what I'm trying to get this through to you, so, anyway, all right. So, Mr. Chairman, you want let's just hold off and let Fonda, get a cost basis and see how much it's actually costing us, and then we can make a decision whether we need to keep the recycling or not, because we're looking at the transfer station too. We've got some stuff coming up with the transfer station.
I think we need to put that in form of a motion to give him direction.
Okay, I'll make that motion to give him direction to come back with a report on the recycling.
In a couple of weeks long enough for you, Fonda?
Yes.
Come back with this information and give him a chance to meet with his organization and
Yes, sir.
We do.
If the board pleases, I'd like to have that economic information when it comes available just to share that information with the group, because I think that would, you know, that may influence and help people see the logic and the wisdom that the board might choose in their decision-making process.
is that all right with you, Mr. Davis?
That's fine.
Okay, add that to my motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Massey. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask a question. Fonda, I know it's a different thing altogether, but it's something we recycle. Do we actually make money off oil recycling, or do we pay to have it picked up?
We pay $1.25 a gallon.
Okay, just wanted to know.
That's another thing that could fluctuate. Sometimes I have seen them come in and just take it because it's a demand. They, you know,
Yeah,
but now they charging us $1.25 a gallon.
yeah, well, it's a real concerning thing for me, being in that industry,
Right.
and knowing that that's the only place really in the county we have to, we used to have one by the store in East Point, but with the EPA changes, we were given a letter that, basically a warning, if you don't change what you're doing, we're gonna fine you.
Right.
They changed it where if you had a 500-gallon tank, you have to have a containment unit that's 125% bigger, or it's liable to a fine.
That's right.
So that's why we done away with ours. Well, it's put a lot of people, I'm just afraid that a lot of people aren't disposing of oil properly.
Right, and we try to
This
work
is
with them
why-
because I come to the meeting once before, briefing the board about how the rates was gonna increase. And they instructed me to just kind of see what it was gonna turn out. So normally on a 5-gallon, we try to, you know, work with the public.
Right.
But when it become 55-gallon, we got to charge them.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
But-
I agree with that.
That's why we need, some of these problems can be solved if we had a mandatory garbage all over the county. That'll stop some of that. I mean, if they putting household garbage out there, where the containers at, that the household garbage supposed to be picked up by the solid waste garbage truck. We got mandatory garbage, that'll stop it.
Fund on the oil is something I don't see how we can get away from, because it needs to be disposed of properly. Oil is something that's not biodegradable, it's not gonna go away, and if people don't have some place to take this oil, and it's just dumped in the ground, that's not good for our environment, that's not good for the public health, safety, and welfare. So the oil is a little bit different than the recycling to me. We got to have the oil. I mean, if we have to pay, we have to pay, and if somebody brings some oil, if they gotta pay, they gotta pay, but it's not something that we just want dumped out in the woods somewhere and in the ground, because that's just not the way to go with that.
Right.
The recycling we can look at. Any further discussion for Mr. Davis? Do you have anything else for the board, Fine?
No, I did hear Commissioner Sanders mention about the transfer station, but that is something that we're gonna have to look closely at. Met with, Mr. Schuler and Mr. Moran with Waste Management the other day, and they throwed out some options, so we're still working on that. But that is something gonna have to come up. The contract ends next year, so we need to get to work on that.
Now, the transfer station, again, as I said earlier, keeps us from filling up our landfill too quick and having to shut it down and open up a new one, which is a well of a cost for this county, as you well know. So we'll have to just work at that the best we can and try to come up with the best deal for the citizens. But the rates may have to go up to accommodate a new provider. I mean, they got you over a barrel. Either you fill up your landfill or either you transfer it out and have it incinerated. So your options are very limited as to what you can do with the solid waste produced by the citizens of the county. It's a lot of money to close a landfill, and it's a lot of money to open up a new landfill.
That's correct.
So we'll have to work at that the best we can.
And we need to be, we need to be proactive with it instead of reactive. So if now that we know that it's coming, you can get a plan started and come back and make a recommendation to us, and along with Michael Marone and Michael Schuler, and hopefully we'll be ready to set another step ahead when this company does go out. They've been telling us for a few years that they were wanting to get out of it.
Right, that's
So,
correct.
Anything else for the board, Fund?
That's it.
See it. Any of the commissioners have anything for Mr. Davis?
you got to take a vote.
Vote on that last motion.
Okay. All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries. Anybody got anything else for Mr. Davis? Thank you, Fine.
All right, thank you all.
Next will be Ms. Pam Brunell, Emergency Management Director.
Good morning, Commissioners. I have one action item, signed contract modification agreement for, between Florida Department of Emergency Management and Franklin County Board of County Commissioners for additional funds for the Hurricane Loss Mitigation Program. In other words, the residential, they've changed the name of it, but it's still the residential construction. They came back and told us things like air conditioners that people have in their, sticking out of the house through their walls. We have to go in and put cages around them now. So we didn't have those funds, so we asked for additional funds to cover that. And they gave us $10,000 extra.
So moved.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders,
Second.
second by Commissioner Massey. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries. Next, does anybody have anything for Ms. Pam this morning?
I've got one question. I've had a couple of people that was gonna go to St. George Island, and they wanted to grill out and everything, and it's been St. George Island has been issued a burn ban by the St. George Island Fire Chief. Can they not use grills over there with his?
That's what he's saying. He's saying no wood, no charcoal. Now, if you look where I told you, we had that after that fire the other day, and I specifically, normally the county follows whatever Department of Forestry puts out. And right now, they do not have a statewide burn ban right now.
I know,
And
right?
we're not to the point, is what Clint told me, we're not to the point that Franklin County would have to issue a burn ban, but he would keep watching, and if it got to that point, then he would let me know, and then I could come back and ask y'all to do a countywide burn ban.
Well, and I know that we have, out of the 67 counties in the state, we have 26 counties that have already issued burn bans, but you're talking about Collier County and all, where you've got the big Naples fire and all that, the land and all. But what do we tell people who wants to go there and grill over there at St. George Island? Mr. Schuler, what do we tell them?
Commissioner, I've never researched what authority a fire chief does or does not have in the county, so I can't tell you as I sit here this morning whether he was authorized to issue the ban or not. If you want me to look into it, I'll look into it and report back to you individually.
Please, I would like to know, because he tells me he has the authority.
And he may, I don't know.
So, I mean, he's done it in the past. So only thing I told him, I'm like, well, because they're calling me, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I didn't issue that. That's not, that's not county, that is the fire chief on St. George Island. You need to speak to Mr. Adams.
Are you saying they can't grill on their back porch?
What he is
That's what they're
saying
saying.
is no charcoal grills, no wood burning. If you're gonna grill out, you have to have a gas grill. And I know the reason why. A couple years ago, if you remember, when the house burned in the plantation, that burned because someone dumped. When they got through grilling their hamburgers and got ready to leave, they dumped the charcoal, and it's still hot out there in that pine straw, and burnt that house up.
But they responsible for that. They should be held accountable for doing something like that.
Yes, sir, I agree with you, but that is where that is stemming from.
Well, see, that's the wrong attitude to approach, because that was the tenant. The grill didn't do it, grilling the hot dog, hamburger, or steak, or whatever, that didn't cause that.
I know.
That's causing them to dump them hot grills, that's after the fact, they were through grilling. And I don't see, that man ain't got no business itching nothing like that behind that. He going a little bit overboard.
I'm gonna make a motion that we ask Mr. Schuler to look at it today if you can, Mr. Schuler, and
Yes,
and
ma'am.
just let us know individually. Call
Yes,
us up
ma'am.
individually and let us know what you found out, and then let Michael know, and he can put it on whatever. Because I know I've got a lot of people concerned about that, because they said the fire chief issued a burn ban, but where's the county stand? I said, the county hasn't done anything. All I know is the state of Florida has, out of that, 26 counties issued, burn ban. But Franklin County hasn't yet, so.
And looking at the map that they sent us on our iPad, if you look at it, there's no counties in northern, the panhandle up here that's got a burn ban on it. It's all in central Florida and below.
That looked bad on us. He didn't call it down here to the office and said nothing about no burn ban. He just telling the people, they calling us, and we need to deal with this and correct it, because
What he's told me
it's
is
all
he
over
has the
county.
authority.
The rest of the county ain't,
I
don't
second the
have
motion of
a
Commissioner
place.
Sanders.
Jay Abbott thinks he got a lot of authority.
But that's what he tells me. He doesn't need the Board of County Commissioners permission to issue a burn ban. He is the fire chief, and he has the authority. So I will be interested to see what Mr. Schuler finds out.
If he have it, he should give us a call. don't know
I
what
agree
he
with you. I had spoke to him after the fire about maybe coming to y'all and asking about, putting a ban on burning any yard debris, because that's how that fire started over there. Oh, no, we're not issuing any burn bans. And then, while I'm still out for surgery, then I find out he's issued a burn ban for charcoal grills and
And
wood
that
burning.
only for wood and charcoal grills.
Yes, ma'am.
But we do have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? Directing county staff to look into this and get back with the commissioners.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Yeah, Attorney Schuler, I think it would be great to have us to have the knowledge of knowing the authority and what protocol would be going forward from today about how things are transacting. Because, yeah, it's been it's been something I've tried to explain or unexplain to several people. So, yeah, I would really, really like to see something happen with it.
I'll do so, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries.
Commissioner, so we don't have to rehash it. Item 4, which the chairman referred to on my report. Mr. Adam Putnam, Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services Commissioner, has sent a letter to all county leaders asking that each county consider enacting a burn ban. He states that the debris burning has been the top cause of wildfires this year. Florida Forest Services advises there are critical areas throughout the state that do not have county burn bans in place. To date, 26 counties have enacted burn bans under emergency ordinances. A map is attached for your discussion, which you pretty much already had for the most part.
But
So-
they're referencing debris burning, which Ms. Brunel talked about earlier, burning yard
As a
debris.
top.
We're talking about something totally different here, but I understand what you're saying, and you want to have more discussion on this issue as far as
I just didn't
burning
want
of
you
debris.
guys have to rehash the discussion
Right.
again a little later on.
Pleasure of the board. How you feel about the discussion for the board about burning debris?
And Mr. Chairman, just to let the board know, I did contact late yesterday afternoon the state, guy in charge of state forestry, to find out what is the average burn ban? 30 days, 15 days, 60? So when he emails me back, he hasn't yet, I'll let the board know. To see, if you guys decide to do this, we can do an emergency meeting if we deem necessary or whatever,